welcome, welcome. I am Jaime Chapman, the founder and CEO of Begin Within. And today I have a very special expert and guest on, Dr. Kella Price. And she is a fitness and health guru and all things nutrition. And we are going to talk about her top tips for military families when they are relocating during a PCS. And so without further ado, Kella, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background, and let us get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you for having me, Jaime. I am a health, fitness, and nutrition coach and a life coach and a military spouse. My husband served in active duty for 23 years. I was married to him for all of his active duty time. And we moved, gosh, I lost track of how many times we moved across the country from one place to another with children, pets, and a business and boats and jet skis and trailers and all of the fun things that come along with moving. And so I'm really excited to be able to share my tips and tricks with you because it doesn't get any easier. It really doesn't. We recently relocated in December. My husband retired from the Marine Corps and is now working for a defense contractor. And so we did our big retirement move and downsize, and that was a whole nother can of worms. Didn't get any easier, but following my own tips and tricks made it the best possible scenario. We moved the week of Christmas. So it was a big move out of state, and we're finally unpacked at our house and settled. And I'm excited to share some tips with you.
Thanks for the introduction. If you can't tell, I'm sitting in my own office and it's empty. I just moved a couple of weeks ago, and this has been the craziest PCS that my family has ever had. We were in Germany. We came to Fort Hood, Texas, and I'm also due to have a baby next week. So, and it's during the COVID pandemic, right? So it's been a crazy PCS, and very soon, this PCS season here in 2020 is going to be a nightmare. Everybody's going to be PCSing all at once that DoD stop movement is fully lifted. And I was telling Kella in a chat right before we started recording this, is that right now it's a little bit of a trickle. Some people are moving, those with babies on the way or other exceptions to policy. And then as soon as that stop movement lifts, everybody's going to be going at once, and household goods will be a crazy mess, and it'll just be different than usual. PCS season's always chaos, but this will be a lot. And so it's really tough during these times to focus when it's just chaotic and when everything is bananas. It's really tough to focus on self-care. And Kella wrote an article in our guide. I'm going to show you the printed one. It's not published yet for you to be able to get it, but she wrote an article called Exercise on the Go, which whenever I was thinking about PCSing, I thought, well, I'm not much of a fitness buff, but especially when you're busy and you don't have your things and COVID-19 is happening and there are no gyms open anywhere, what the heck do you do to take care of yourself? And so Kella's article focuses on exercising literally while you're driving across the country, and these are things you can do from anywhere. So let's talk about your top tips to stay healthy when you are moving.
One of my top tips is to find things that you can pack and take with you easily that don't take up a lot of space, so that you can have that little bit of exercise time when you're stopped somewhere, whether you're traveling by yourself or with your children. Some things that I like to carry in the car: a yoga mat, my foam rolling tools. Those are a must, especially if you're driving or you have long flights from Germany to America. I have a friend traveling to Japan right now. That foam roller is always in my carry-on to help me stretch out because those seats are so uncomfortable. Resistance bands. I always carry a set of water bottles or gallon jugs. It's good to have emergency water, but you can also use them as weights. My gliding discs, they're flat and compact, and a resistance loop. That's really all you need to get a great workout anywhere. And it can be a little bit more challenging during COVID-19 because some of the things that I would normally recommend, like sightseeing, are not always open. So if you're traveling across the country looking for fun things to do with your kids, do some research, call them so that you can plan ahead, because the worst thing would be to get your kids all excited and then show up and wah, it's closed. But there are plenty of parks and hiking nature type trails that are open in many areas, and those are limited contact, so you're relatively safe from germs. It's great to stretch your legs, and if you have pets, get those pets some exercise. It will help reduce their anxiety as well. And playgrounds are a great place to do a workout. Let the kids run, get their willies out. You can do a number of exercises right on the gym equipment, and even do fitness challenges with your kids. We love to do timed, we create a Ninja Warrior obstacle course around the playground and do different obstacles and time each other and try to get your best time, like best out of 3. It's a great way to have a fun memory with your kids and get some exercise, and you'll feel so much better. I know sometimes when you're in the car, you just want to get there. But if you don't take frequent breaks, your fatigue level is just going to be, you're going to be tired, and it's not going to be nearly as fun.
That's great. So I was trying to take some notes so I could recap a little bit. Yoga mat, foam roller, resistance bands, water or gallon jugs, gliding discs, resistance loop, and then do nature activities, hiking, sightseeing. Playgrounds are a great place to do, and then family competitions. That's really great tips. To me, I wouldn't think about a playground as a place to go and exercise. The way I just categorize it in my mind is a playground. My 3-year-old son needs to get out and get the willies out and, burn some energy, but why not use it as an adult if you kind of capitalize on the one stop you're going to make. So great tips. I flew internationally. And so what are some things that you can do on the airplane? I'm just curious, what advice might you have for being on the airplane for 10 or 12 hours if you're doing an overseas move?
I carry a water bottle, and I try to get them to fill the water bottle when they're coming around with the water. I've noticed recently some of the airlines are a little bit stingy with the water. Especially on long flights, they don't want to give you a whole bottle. And the hydration is really important for your body, because when you fly, you do get dehydrated. I wear my compression socks for the circulation in my legs. And I typically, as long as you don't have stinky feet, I take off my shoes, and I have like little slippers that I put on so that my feet are comfortable on the long flight. I keep my compression socks on. And because I'm drinking water, I get up regularly to use the restroom. And when I get up, I stretch. I bend and touch my toes. I do an overhead side stretch. I'll, even if I'm waiting in line for the restroom, do a warrior 2 pose sideways in the aisle, pyramid or triangle pose, or another great pose that you can do. Flexing and bending your calves, like your calf raises. Those are another great exercise. And even just opening up your chest like so, getting a good stretch through here, reaching up and pulling down, squeezing and opening the chest is a great stretch. Because you're sitting and you're compacted, and those seats are small. I am not a huge person. I'm 5'10", so sometimes depending on the seats, my knees are hitting, and I need to get up and move. I get antsy, and I get back soreness. Typically, I travel with like a small back pillow that I'll put in the small of my back to help support that. But the other issue is a lot of us are using our technology on the airplane. And where is your seat? Your seat has a little tray, And so if you're watching something, your neck is down like this. And so you're going to get a lot of neck fatigue from your posture of watching that show, because really your neck needs to be in alignment like this. And short of holding your item like this, which can be fatiguing, just you want to keep that in mind to kind of stretch out your neck, and whenever possible, prop up whatever you're using up a little higher. I've seen now that they have these crazy things that attach to your neck to hold your phone in front of you. I haven't tried it. The concept is good. You just need to remember, good posture, because that is going to cause you some discomfort, not only in your neck, but you're going to start getting back pain and even hip pain if you're out of alignment when you're sitting.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And if you're on one of those nicer flights, the built-ins are on the seat headrest in front of you. And so that's a little bit better of an angle, but you're still, if you're me, you're on the airplane, you might whip out your laptop and try to get some work done or something like that. And that's a horrible, horrible posture. And you're right, your neck just starts to hurt so bad after, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours for those international flights. Now, this is a very personal question. Me being pregnant, right? We've had the worst experiences with loaner furniture in Germany when they took our household goods, horrible mattresses. Now we're in this empty house. We have air beds, and anybody is going to complain about having to stay on an air bed for an extended period of time. But if you're kind of in limbo and you're not in your normal bed and things like that, and you might have some back pain going on, are there any particular stretches or things like that that you recommend for being uncomfortable? If you're sore from a bad quality of bed?
Well, I personally experienced this in December when we moved here. We decided to sell our bed and get a new bed. And of course, it was Christmas time and the beds were on back order. We sold our bed in Arizona 2 days before we moved. And so we slept on moving pads for about a week. and it was certainly not the most comfortable thing. And as I age, I feel like I'm getting more particular about my bed. But motion is lotion. So I tell people getting up and stretching is so important. Using that foam roller before and after bed to loosen up the muscles. You can't discount having a good pillow because holding your head in alignment, and again, the neck, is going to help a lot with some of the discomfort and the movement that you might make when sleeping. Because we were moving and I had no mattress, I also used a pillow in between my knees to kind of cushion my hips. Because sleeping on the floor is uncomfortable as you get older. You wake up with hip pain. And I got up and I did my exercise first thing, doing a little bit of yoga and stretching, because your muscles get tight and stiff when you sleep. And so if you get up and you start doing stretches, 5 or 10 minutes is all you need to really stretch things out, and you'll feel so much better for it.
That's great advice. I know that I have frequent trips to the bathroom at this point in my life, and that really helps when I have to wake up and move my body around in the middle of the night anyways. It's like I'm getting the cobwebs out. But let's talk a little bit, moving from physical activity, let's talk about some nutrition and some other health tips. Because when you're relocating, a lot of the time you don't have dishes, you don't have pots and pans, you don't have your creature comforts. And so what tips do you have for generally good nutrition while you're moving? And then also just anything else that you might have to throw in there that I'm maybe not thinking about.
Absolutely. When I travel, even when I take short business trips, I pack a cooler of food. I use it as my carry-on on the airplane. Food doesn't count as your regular carry-on. Sometimes they ask you, what's that giant bag there? And I open it up and they see it's all food and they say, okay, come on through. But even with your family, kids in the car, they're naturally going to be bored and they're going to want to eat And you can't be feeding and eating fast food every day. You're not gonna feel well, and you're not going to have that same energy level. So you want to try to find things that will keep in a cooler. A lot of times I will have some sliced meat, like sliced ham, turkey, roast beef, and sometimes I'll have a loaf of bread and my kids will kind of make a sandwich. I don't usually pre-make the sandwiches because they get soggy. Kids like a fresh sandwich better. But I have an assortment of things that if they want a sandwich, or a lot of times we'll just take the meat out of the bag and eat it with our hands. I also look for fruits and vegetables that are not messy in the car that they can eat. I personally eat spinach out of the bag with nothing on it. I'll eat that like chips in the car, and cherry tomatoes. A lot of people will not eat just plain spinach, but my kids love raw carrots. So we'll have carrot sticks. They love cucumber. If your kids like red peppers or bell peppers, you can slice those up. And you can even put them in little bags, prep them the night before at the hotel, and put them in self-serving bags and have like a snack bag. Other things that I'll typically bring in our cooler, we'll have hard-boiled eggs, and those are becoming easier to find at fast or gas stations. If you look, a lot of gas stations now are having a healthy area. Usually it's in the refrigerated section where they'll have mozzarella cheese sticks, because that's another thing that I like to have. My kids eat those like crazy. They'll have hummus packs with like pretzels or something. And if you have vegetables, you can supplement that with the vegetables that you have. And they'll have hard-boiled eggs and sometimes some other things. And that's a great place to start your fast food or your gas station shopping, if you will, is find that healthy section and see what they have available there. A lot of fast food places now do have salads. Sometimes they're not that great. You have to kind of evaluate those. And those, if you're eating on the go in the car, you're the driver, sometimes the salad is more difficult to eat. But certainly having some sort of wrap filled with veggies is a great way to go. Other things that I like to eat in the car that don't spoil, dried fruit. I keep dried fruit in the car all the time. A little bit higher sugar than things like apples and fresh fruit. However, it doesn't spoil. So that's the key. I can keep raisins and mangoes and stuff under my seat. And it's like our emergency snacks. Things like beef jerky doesn't need refrigeration. I could keep it in the car in Arizona in the summer and it's not going to spoil. And then you have that emergency snack. Some of your granola bars, but I caution you that not every granola bar is the same. So some of them can have huge amounts of calories. Some of those protein bars are almost 400 calories. That's not a snack. That's like a huge meal, and sometimes they're going to be higher in sugar. So you really have to read the labels. But that's another great thing that you can have grab and go. Some of your cereals, if it's generally, I'll let my kids have cereal if it's 9 grams or less. There are a number of cereals, even some of the little Reese's or chocolate puffs that are in that range that are easy to eat in the car and don't require milk. So I'll take cups, the disposable cups, and my kids will pour the cereal in the cups. And that's a good snack. And it's healthier for you than, say, a chip. But certainly there are some chips that you can find that are like 6 ingredients or less. If you can understand all of the ingredients on the chip or the bagged item and you know what they are, then it's probably okay to eat. If you start reading it and it looks like chemicals and things that you've never heard of, that's probably something you want to steer away from. And again, a lot of the gas stations are starting to have some of those items. Of course, you're going to pay a premium if you get it at the gas station. It's better to go to your favorite store, stock up on those items, and have them in the car for those kids when they're saying that they're hungry.
Yeah. And I can also vouch for granola bars. My son, thank goodness, he loves carrots and healthy things like that to munch on, and he'll eat tomatoes like you will, just out of the little can or tin that they come in. And you know, one of our favorite snacks as a family are they're Lara bars. They're probably sugary, but it's because I read on there and it literally says on the front, only 4 ingredients, and it's peanut butter flavored, and there's peanuts, dates, salt, and whatever else in there, right? And it's like so easy just to understand it when you're reading those ingredients. But I also would say granola bars, any kind of those protein snack bars or anything like that, you have to be careful if there's chocolate. Because in Texas or Arizona where it's hot, if you think that's a good snack and you toss it in your purse and leave it in the car for 15 minutes, it's not such a good snack anymore because it's melted and there's not a whole lot you can do on the road to fix it. So if you know, go for the other flavors that maybe don't have chocolate if you're in a hot area. But these are really good tips. And on the road, it's just so tempting to, you know, slip through a fast food drive-through and grab whatever greasy burger is available because it's quick and easy. But man, I noticed it especially coming from Germany to the US, because Germany doesn't have as much fast food. You know, it's a different culture. And it's funny, the only fast food restaurants that you see are the McDonald's and KFCs off the highways, because they're US companies. But just coming here and having fast food a couple of times after having had a diet for 3 years that really didn't have any fast food in it, it was especially hard on my tummy. It was like a really rough transition. And so this was something I wouldn't have thought of, you know, if you're driving from the US to the US and you're used to it anyways. But really good tips, Kella.
Things that I would recommend, especially when we're traveling even across the country, something that I do with my kids, because we do pack a lot of food. We usually eat our breakfast and lunch in the car with the things that we have packed. But as it gets closer to dinner, we'll get on our Yelp on the phone and try to figure out where in an upcoming city, maybe a nicer restaurant that has sit-down service. And we actually will take an hour or so out of our trip and find a local restaurant. We're kind of foodies. Just because I'm a fitness coach doesn't mean I don't like food. I definitely like good quality food. And so we'll research a small local business in an upcoming town, and based on the Yelp reviews and the menu that we look at, I always look at the menu and make sure, okay, this is going to be something that's not going to upset my stomach. They have options to have some vegetables with our dinner. We go and we have a nice sit down meal, and it helps get us through the day. And it's something to look forward to with the kids. And we get to look at the menu and kind of shop for what we're trying. And we've had some amazing food adventures with some really good food. And a lot of times we'll buy a couple different things off the menu and split them up and share so that we can try more from this restaurant, because we'll never go there again unless we're driving through that town. And it's a super fun way to try new things and eat an enjoyable meal instead of some of that fast food.
And it gives you 15 minutes of research and entertainment in the car. And that's a very valuable, and it's one thing we can all agree on is we're hungry. We need to get something to eat. Let's look something up. Now, agreeing on the restaurant may not be happening, but just definitely agreeing, like, let's stop, let's get out, let's stretch our legs, let's eat something good. That's definitely a 15-minute in-flight entertainment experience. So that gives you something good to do. So Kella, before we get ready to close out our chat, do you have any kind of self-care final parting wisdom for those who may be ready to relocate or PCS? Just kind of any final words of wisdom?
Remember that it's a stressful experience, and try to, I'm a checklist kind of girl. I have lists all over my desk of things that I need to accomplish. And I plan out what kinds of things that I need to have and make sure my kids have what they need via a checklist to try to make it as comfortable as possible. Making sure that they have their pillow and maybe one of their favorite games that's something small that they play in the car, like a card game, or something that's handheld, or a favorite book, allowing them to kind of pack a backpack of things. But I do the same with things that I need for that week, not just my exercise things, but my self-care items. I might even put in my bag of things that I'm carrying in the car a mask, so that I can do a special mask treatment halfway through a drive, just to make it more enjoyable. And remember that it's an experience that you can create memories. It doesn't have to be painful in terms of, sometimes we go through things, and I've had some crazy moves. We moved with turtles in a bucket and a bunny in a car in the middle of summer, with one of the windows was broken. That broke over the weekend right before we left. So we've had some crazy adventures, and we look back at it and see how much fun. And I love, I'll take pictures of our journeys on my phone and selfies of things. And I love when they pop up, and I talk to my kids, do you remember when? And so even getting your kids to do a journal of their experience and put that somewhere, and you can look back at it, you'll be amazed of some of the amazing memories that you can create on this road trip adventure.
That's awesome. And my son is a little young yet for journaling, but he doesn't forget anything. So it's definitely a good time. And we had our cat on the long flight with us this time. And so the pets, the turtles in a bucket and the bunnies, I can get that. My cat was only accepted on the plane because the kid behind us was crying a little bit louder than the cat was meowing the whole time. So we've definitely had some fun times with pets. But Kella, I appreciate your wisdom and your expertise. For those of you who haven't grabbed your guide, it is a free download. You can get the PDF online for free. And by popular request, I have a lot of people that are paper people. It's not ready quite yet, but it will be available if you want a physical copy of the guide. It'll be available for purchase on Amazon soon. And we will put that out on social as well. But Kella's article, Exercise on the Go, is really good. And she's got her own little family photo. It's really cute. And that's her in there. So I was so glad to be able to interview you today, Kella. Thank you so much for your time. And everybody else, thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Recording.